ever imagined how much further ahead you'd be financially if you were able to save more than half the money you made? Well, you don't have to imagine anymore, because you're about to learn the exact steps you must take to save 60% of your income and start seeing exponential gains in your financial progression. For the average person, saving more than half of every dollar they make seems like a near impossible task, and that's because very few people are able to do so. With the rising cost of housing, transportation, food, and just about everything else, saving is becoming more and more of an uphill battle. In fact, as of late 2021, more than 50% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck, which amounts to an abysmal 0% savings rate. As you can imagine, when every dollar that comes in ends up going right back out, seeing the financial progression you desire simply will not happen. Fortunately, there is a way out of this financial rut. But before you learn exactly how you can start saving 60% of your income, we need to discuss the root cause of why so many people are unable to save a large percentage of their incomes. First off, there are a lot of people these days who are simply not earning enough money to be able to save 60% of their income. Now, you may be thinking, but isn't everyone's saving rate relative to their income? And while this is true, there is a baseline level of expenses everyone must meet to live. For instance, the cheapest accommodations in a major city may cost someone $2,000 a month, and if you make $3,000 a month, that's 66% of your income versus just 10% if you make $20,000 a month. Therefore, the first reason people are not able to save 60% of their income is due to their presently low income. Secondly, we have those who have very poor spending habits. You see, saving half your income is no easy task, and if you have any holes in your saving approach, then saving half your income will be impossible for 99% of people. So, what are some of the most common poor spending habits, you're wondering? The ones that are the most prevalent and the most harmful are spending to keep up with your peers, spending money you don't have, and impulse spending. When it comes to keeping up with your peers, this form of spending is so insidious because the spending never ends. There will always be people that have more than you. Therefore, once you get on this spending treadmill, it's nearly impossible to feel as though you are ever achieving the goal of possessing the same things as John and Jane down the block. As for spending money you don't have, this is a shout out to all those credit card lovers out there. While credit cards are amazing debt tools for those who use them responsibly, the reality is that many credit card users charge first and worry about paying it back later, and this is a one-way ticket to high-interest prison. Finally, if you are succumbing to impulse purchases on the regular, then saving more than half your income is going to be extremely challenging. In fact, people fail to realize just how taxing these purchases can be. For instance, the average American spends $450 a month on impulse purchases, so those impromptu chocolate bar purchases at the grocery store checkout line sure do add up. So, now you know the biggest culprits that are holding you back from becoming a 60% saver. Let's go over some of the benefits most people realized once they are able to save 60% of their income, and then, as promised, the steps you can take to do the same. By far and away, the biggest benefit people get out of saving 60% of my income is having less financial stress. Once your savings rate gets to this level, you stop worrying about whether you're going to be able to meet your bills because you'll have enough leeway in your savings to easily manage one or two unexpected charges if need be. If you also want to have more money for the stress benefits it would provide, then let us know by gently tapping the like button below, because we all deserve to be able to relax a little bit more in life. The second benefit that resonates with most people is that you will feel like you're finally getting ahead financially. You see, when you're saving 10% or less of your income every month, it's hard to really feel like you're progressing on your personal financial journey. In fact, when you're saving this little of your income every month, the reason you feel like you're saving next to no money is simply because you aren't. When you're saving a few $100s a month, you are always one broken car part or medical bill away from saving nothing, or worse, being put in a position where you're now going into debt. However, when you're saving 60% of your income, you start to feel like all your hard work is actually amounting to something, and this in and of itself is an amazing benefit people in position come to realize, and one you can too. However, The most important benefit for those who want to get rich before they're 200 years old is that when you save more money, you can invest more money. When you get to a point where you're saving 60% of your income every single month, you can invest a ton of money, and this certainly helps you reach your retirement goals years sooner than if you were saving the recommended 10% of my income. Now, with all this being said, let's now dive into the 3-step process you can use to start saving 60% of your income. The first step in saving half your income is to minimize your expenses. As mentioned earlier, there will always be a baseline level of expenses you must meet in life, which typically includes needed items like clothing, food, and shelter. But just because you must meet these needs doesn't mean you have to overpay for them. It's recommended that you start by reviewing your big 3 expenses of housing, transportation, and food. Ask yourself where opportunities to save exist, such as by renting a smaller place or by swapping out that expensive car you own for a cheaper one. Once you have your expenses at a minimum, you need to assess where your current savings rate lies. If you want to make this process more challenging, then you can calculate your savings rate based on your pre-tax income. But the standard perception of saving 60% of your income is based on your after-tax income because taxes simply cannot be saved. So, for example, if you were able to cut down your expenses and save $3,000 a month and you earn $5,000 a month after tax, then you would have achieved a saving rate of 60%. If you are presently saving less than 60%, it's recommended that you first aim to save at least 25% of your take-home pay, and then aim to increase it by 5% per quarter until you reach your target savings rate of 60%. We will talk more about how you can go about doing this in a minute. Once you've done this assessment of your saving rate, you should have a good idea as to whether you have met your goal savings target. If you have, great. But if you haven't, then you need to employ some help in your quest to save 60% of your income, and you'll be doing this through supplementing your income. As you already know, you can only cut down your costs so much, which means that getting to a 60% savings rate for most people will require them to go on the offensive and make more money. This can be through working overtime, freelancing, driving for Uber, you name it. In essence, you want to use this extra income to bridge the gap between your savings rate after expense reductions and our 60% savings target. However, one challenge you may find yourself running into when doing this type of work is that it requires ongoing active effort. You may find that you seldom have time for anything but work. You may end up working from morning to night to achieve this lofty savings target. While it's great to start seeing your bank balance grow more by the day, it can seem futile when all you're doing is making money with no time to enjoy it. As such, this is when a change is required. In this case, you want to start building assets that will earn you passive income. It could be a YouTube channel, a blog, or any other asset that pays you without your involvement. With enough effort, these assets will generate the income you are making actively and replace it entirely. Now, once your income is at a level where saving 60% is manageable, there's one more step to employ, and it's the automation step. While it's great to commit to joining the 60% club, we can't discount people's propensity to succumb to lifestyle inflation, which, if you're familiar with the term, simply means you start spending more as you earn more. To ensure this financial conundrum doesn't impact your savings efforts, it's recommended that you automate your savings through savings deductions. To do this, tally up all the income you make from all income sources. If you solely work a 9-to-5 job, then this will simply require you to sum the total of each monthly paycheck and commit 60% of it to an automated savings plan. Alternatively, if you earn from multiple sources, then set each income stream up in a way where you can save 60% of every after-tax dollar it makes. This takes a bit more effort, depending on how many income streams you have, but the bit of extra work it takes is negligible. At this point, we've gone over all the benefits you'll receive by saving more than half your income and how you can achieve this in your own financial life. However, there's one final reason that you need to take seriously. The idea of saving 60% of your income can be intimidating, and it's going to make many people quit before they even try. But here's the thing. Saving the majority of your income is basically mandatory these days if you ever want to retire. You hear it all the time. Friends and family will complain that they wish they could give in their 2 weeks' notice at work tomorrow and start their post-work lives. But with an abysmal savings rate, This will never happen. Now, when I say this will never happen, I don't mean this won't happen for a while. I mean this will literally never happen. If you run the numbers, you'll see that on an average income of $50,000, investing $500 a month for the next 30 years will only leave you with just over $600,000, which barely buys you any freedom now, let alone what it will buy you as prices continue to go to the moon. This is why managing your expenses and seeking out ways to generate more income is essential. It's literally the only way you can eventually have some work of reprieve from the world of work. For instance, if you can save and invest 60% of your income, even on $50,000 a year, that would leave you with almost $3 million to your name in 30 years, at an average 7% rate of return. Either way, to achieve this level of saving, sacrifices will have to be made. This could involve trading in a ton of free time to set up new streams of income, or spending a prolonged period of time tightly monitoring every penny you spend. Either approach, especially when combined, can grant you the 60% saving rate you desire, but more importantly, can give you the financial freedom that unfortunately, more and more people as time goes on will not be able to enjoy. However, you're not like most people, and you know that achieving a 60% savings rate is well within your grasp. But if you're not there yet, then you need to watch this next video where you'll learn how to save $10,000. So click on over and let's get started.